Welcome to our coverage of the Carolina Surfcasters Association March Surfcasting Competition, the first of our 2026 tournament season. We're coming to you from Green Sea, South Carolina, where an impressive crowd has gathered to observe the best casters in the United States and to put their own skills to the test on this beautiful spring weekend. This round of the tournament is starting off with the students of Tommy Farmer's latest surfcasting seminar, held in conjunction with the main competition. Tommy spent over an hour with the group covering his 5 fundamentals of power casting, with proceeds benefiting the CSCA, and we are indeed thankful to him for that. First up at the Aki is Jeff Garris, a surf fisherman out of Indian Trail, North Carolina, out in the Charlotte area. So far he looks pretty successful with Tommy Farmer's instruction and is casting over 100 yards today. Looking at the replay, his left arm is collapsing a bit early. With some correction just on that front, he's going to pick up another 100 feet, no problem. Chris and Rebecca Herrington are among the local students here today from down the road in Loris, South Carolina. Tommy is having his students start out with what looks like a John Holden style easy cast, which is a simple, shortened version of the ground cast.
You're inbounds, I think. You are inbounds. Good cast. Do what?
Might have been paper. I saw paper.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
I mean, I say depends on you. I mean, really.
And here's Rebecca. One good thing about spinning reels, which Chris and Rebecca seem to have a preference for, is that it accommodates a rapid power increase in the casting stroke and will tolerate the typical exaggerated follow-through that you see with surf fishermen who sling artificial lures. Both of the Herringtons are actually getting good loft in their casts. But as with 99% of new casters, that early collapse and lack of pulling power with the bottom hand needs to be reprogrammed. Our special guest this weekend is Brian Demo, who is host of the Finding Demo Surf Fishing podcast and is available on iTunes and findingdemosurffishing.com. He'll be doing live coverage of the tournament, has sat in on Tommy Farmer's casting seminar, and is jumping in here and there for some casts of his own.
Way early. And I talked.
Well, you didn't backlash. In case you couldn't tell, Brian is an experienced surf angler, and we're immediately seeing some of Tommy's 5 fundamentals appearing in his technique as if they were second nature.
No.
This is newcomer Elliot Estes. We say newcomer, but he's got some pro-level tackle there.
Is it like a shorter, like the thing here in front? Sometimes they're like kind of like there's a skinny bar. And
You said less line, Tommy?
Fat on that.
Yeah, a little bit less. Yeah, if you're having that over speed, yeah, a little less.
Hey, the other thing is you can pick up a 65 wide.
He has an interesting variation on the Hatteras cast that he's employing this weekend. Checking the slow motion, it appears that Elliot swings the sinker in and then out in a path that's perpendicular to his rod. From there, though, picking it up like a usual Hatteras cast and hitting it.
All vintage spools, and I just don't
Elliot is joined by his friend and fellow first-time competitor Bobby Phillips.
All the South Americans.
Bobby is using a very similar style of Hatteras cast.
Full hand and do the whole thing. And Filippo's just like us. He's just a little bit long,
The technique here looks solid.
Well, that's fine. That's why he's the freaking best in the world. They can say what they want to about Juan, but you saw who was on top last.
Good stability in the starting stance, and both Elliot and Bobby have a high level of discipline in keeping their arms positioned correctly and employing them just at the right moment for the final hit. Andy Helton joins us this weekend. I have to say that wearing a glove while casting looks very cool. Apparently Andy also finds it more practical than traditional rubber thummies, which can be a pain to put on and take off between casts. He's casting as well as ever, hitting a personal best distance this weekend. But if he can take full advantage of his left arm's pulling power, he should be jumping up towards 600 feet in the near future. Butch Lloyd is taking things up a notch this round with his full tournament ground cast.
What? Wait.
He certainly makes 500-foot plus casts look nice and easy.
Right now. I might drop the one.
Unrushed body rotation, then just pushing that rod and sinker up towards the sky.
Been here 5 minutes, okay?
We're honored to have John Mroczka as Butch's competitor in the senior class this weekend. John's surf casting career dates back to Sportscast USA.
Where'd they go?
John is a ground caster as well, and is still hitting the rod with an authority that keeps him consistently over 500 feet in competition. The president of the CSCA, Matt Tuers, is at the Aki now. In a strange move, he's switched solely to ground casting for this event. It appears that ground casting was the right move here this weekend. Being able to focus on body rotation without the hassle of swinging a sinker around has produced a new personal best for Matt. Jordan Bray is up. His style of choice this weekend is the pendulum cast.
Brazilian, but it's all German defectors post World War II.
I'm gonna warn you.
Looks like he's got plenty of power behind that one.
Because I laid into it the other day.
Me and easy.
What's wrong with it?
Looks like a howler monkey over there.
I gotta be better about that.
Oh yeah?
Break it.
You ever seen someone blow up a spindle so bad that the collar disappeared in the outer space?
Chris Chance is at the Aki now, one of the last of the low reel casters.
You need to get line on that. That's the new school.
Ripping, baby, ripping.
We imagine 10 years from now, when everyone is casting with their reel positioned high, a prominent caster will come along somewhere in the world and start casting low reel again, hit big numbers, and the cycle will begin all over. That is, unless one day soon we can report a satisfying explanation on why high reel is in fact superior.
If we ain't, well, I was talking about what he's doing, but
Stick that in your box of stuff.
What is it, cleaning?
he's just ripping the ground right now. He ain't planting nothing. Yeah. They'll roll next week. There's some that went ahead and went last almost 2 weeks.
And we are back to off the ground casting with Bobby Rae Allen, who is putting some of his sinkers out over 700 feet again this weekend. If there is any criticism here, it's that Bobby is giving away some body rotation. He appears to pivot his entire body around his stance at once, instead of creating real torsion through his legs and core muscles and then unwinding.
Sound doesn't mean that it went far, though.
Matt DeShenis is here of Reel Custom Reels. He's handling reel tuning and modification in the field at this weekend's tournament.
The one is the center line.
Sean Sprague is getting some direction from Connor Brown. Sean is part of a new casting group called Outer Banks Surf Casting. They held their first surf casting challenge late last year on the beaches near Kitty Hawk. It's a great opportunity to get into long distance casting without the formality of what you're watching now. For more information on their upcoming events, look up the Outer Banks Surf Casting group on Facebook.
That was a good cast.
That was a good one. That one feels better.
This man needs no introduction,
Yeah, we've been
but
working on
we'll
school
at least mention his name. Tommy Farmer wrapped up his surf casting seminar here moments ago and is getting ready to show us a version of a championship cast.
Trying to figure out how to power up a time machine. Go back about 10 years.
You good?
Ah!
Smooth. Connor, you good?
Watching Tommy cast today, I think one of the most impressive things about his cast is his nimble footwork. If you're counting, this is 3 steps that he's taking to perfectly position his center of gravity for an enormous transfer of energy. And if you think that's easy, keep in mind he's doing this while swinging a 1/4 pound of lead around his body at calculated angles. Goddy Ferrer is down with his family from Virginia and is setting up for his cast.
Separate topic. I did throw a line drive that time. First habit. But I do, yeah, that's a easier fix in the field. Yeah.
It looks good.
Sometimes he hits the ground, sometimes it still goes.
Hit the ground.
Goddy, through tons of religious practicing, excels at creating a very wide arc or path that the rod travels through during his cast. A common tendency with high swing pendulum casting is cutting the arc, but that does not appear to be an issue here.
You over 800, Goddy? Are you over 8?
No.
This one right here is one that will.
Connor Brown will be joining Ryan Lambert and Daniel Nassif, as well as new teammate Will Nash, in Pisa, Italy, for the 2026 Phillips Mare Long Casting World Championship.
I had this one less than
All one pack. Yeah, that's the heavier bud.
Got it. Slow down. Fast in swing and then slow.
Hell yes. Pardon my, I'm sorry.
Somehow 800 feet has eluded Connor this weekend, even though his technique is looking as good as it's ever been.
Good cast, Connor.
How about I say,
Right line, good, good cast, Connor.
how about I say,
And CSCA Vice President Ryan Lambert is at the Aki to close out this round of casting. Our first impression is the speed he's bringing that rod around with in the power stroke. It could just be that he's casting the lighter lead this round. Ryan has a ton of power in his arms that he's always leaned on, but it seems that USA Surf Casting's top secret personal training regimen may be helping his speed as well.
Get your butt up and get it.
Pizza calzone. Put one together. Pizza calzone.
It's time to reel in, and time to take a moment to thank the Carolina Surfcasters Association's supporting businesses. Tommy Farmer's Carolina Cast Pro and his tournament-inspired Cast Pro Series surf fishing rods. The CSCA's official tournament sinkers are graciously provided by One More Cast, tackle and supplies for all your Outer Banks surf fishing adventures. Reel Custom Reels, reel outfitter to the 2026 United States Surf Casting Team. Breakaway Tackle USA. And a special thanks to the Finding Demo Surf Fishing Podcast, who arrived with free samples of Fish Bites artificial baits for our attendees this weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, the final scores have been tallied. John Mroczka stepped out in front of Butch Lloyd to capture the senior class. In his contest with newcomer Bobby Phillips, Andy Helton is taking home the title for the A class of casters. Elliot Estes defaults to the winner of the AA class, casting within range of the 600-foot mark. Rae Allen was able to step out ahead of the highly contested AAA class. Goddy Ferrer racks up another win in the Master class, and Lambert takes the Elite class and the overall tournament win with a 150-gram sinker cast that nearly broke the all-time U.S. record for that weight, which incidentally Ryan held himself. This concludes our coverage of the Carolina Surfcasters Association March 2026 Surfcasting Competition. For our schedule of upcoming events this year, visit carolinasurfcasters.org, and if you want notifications of tournament coverage as it airs, click like, subscribe, and the notification bell here on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. For now, we are signing off.